Hello people, I hope you're having a great day today. Today we're taking a look at Abishag Mary by Frances Rowat, which was published in this collection that we're going to start taking a deep dive into. It's called The Weird Wild West. I'm trying to find a collection of short stories to do kind of a deeper dive into my fascination with the Weird Wild West. And I found this one that was published in 2015. It was Kickstarted. And it was pretty popular on Kickstarter, and of course on the back are all the sort of comments on it. Now, Frances Rowat doesn't have... her story leads off this collection, and she doesn't have a Wikipedia page, and she only has a paragraph here and about the authors. Here's what it says about Frances Rowat. She lives with her husband and their dog and a not quite startling number of cats. She spends most of her time at a keyboard and is fond of earrings, jigsaws, and post-apocalyptic fiction. I like post-apocalyptic fiction too. Her short stories have been published in Sock Dollager and Betwixt magazine, and one of them has been accepted to appear in On Spec. So that's the information about Frances Rowat in this different thing. Now, as a reminder, last week we looked at the first Weird West fiction short story that was ever published. It was 1932 in the Weird Tales collection magazine by Robert E. Howard. It was Terror from the Mound. And this sort of obsession in the Weird West genre began with the Wild Wild West 60s spy, sci-fi, western, steampunk show that had a lot of genres and was very influential. And I loved it so much that I continued with Legend, and I was reading this last week, watching this last week, and then that continued. Right now, I'm watching The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr., which I've never seen before, 27 episodes from Fox. I'm also reading a bunch of things, too. For example, I just read the Cowboys and Aliens graphic novel in comics. I don't review comics, so I'm not doing those things for you guys. I also picked up this, which is obviously science fiction, and then I also picked up this High Moon graphic novel, which I'm going to be reading in a little bit. It's also in my queue. I also have the novel, The Circus of Dr. Lao, which is on my queue too, that I want to read. It won the first National Book Award for the most unique book ever, published in 1935, which is definitely more something that was in my queue, and that sort of a thing. So those are some of the things that we'll be taking a deeper look into, and that's sort of the context, so forth. The Weird West is basically a term for three separate subgenres of the westerns that combine westerns with fantasy, westerns with horror, or westerns with science fiction. And this short story, Abishag Mary, combines westerns with fantasy. And it has some fantasy elements. Basically, our key character, Abishag Mary, the character that's named of in this 9-page short story that I read last night, for the first time, she's a pirate captain who is teleported to New Mexico after shipwrecking because a local homestead woman who's a widow, her husband recently died, she's being attacked by people who are trying to steal her land, and so she prays, and Abishag Mary is her salvation, and Abishag Mary teleports basically from her things, and she fights off a few attacks on the homestead, and then they win. And that's a short story in a nutshell. It's 9 pages long. It took me for 15 minutes for me to knock it out last night because my collection is a little bit bigger than normal. It was pretty quick, and I definitely enjoyed it. So there you are. I'd probably give it... It's fast. It was definitely fine in the writings, right? Probably between 6 and 7. I'm not sure which side I give it. Let's say it's more on the 6 side of things. It kicks off this collection. It's probably a 6.5 or 6.3, but it might be more of a 6.5, 6.6. But I'm going to be rounding it down to more of a 6 and so forth. But it's definitely fine. It's definitely interesting. And I enjoyed the opening short story in the new Kickstarter collection of The Weird Wild West. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more of these to follow, as this is my sort of current obsession, and we'll see how long it goes. But for somebody who reviews fantasy, science fiction, and horror, Western science fiction, Western fantasy, and Western horror definitely fits the bill, right? And does a lot of fun stuff. So, there you are. That's Abishag Mary and the collection, The Weird Wild West from 2015. That was Kickstarter, pretty successful on Kickstarter for you. So there you are. Have you read this, or do you have the collection? If so, would you like to talk about it? I try not to keep my reviews spoiler-free, so I only give you the basic synopsis of what the short story was about. If you want to talk about spoilers, I'd be happy to do so with you in the comments below. If you like this video, why not hit that subscribe button? There's going to be a lot more of these to follow. And then finally, I want to thank you so much for taking some time out of your day and investing it and watching my video. We all have so many things that are happening in our lives, and we're pulled in so many different directions. So the fact that you spent this time with me is incredibly humbling, and I appreciate it. So thanks again, and have an amazing day.